Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in the garage for another garage gun talk. And I don't really have a lot to talk about when it comes to specific guns tonight because I'm still working through the pile of stuff that I have to film. I just finished editing the range footage for the Daniel Defense DDM4 PDW and 300 Blackout. And I have the bullet point script all written up. I just have to find some time to film it out here. And I'll probably end up doing that tomorrow because I got a rehearsal I have to go to tonight. But I got everything set up, and I do need to start editing the range footage for the product review on the Silencer Co. Omega 300. So those are the next things on the chopping block. And then I got a few new optics that came in for review that I need to kind of log and figure out what I'm going to do with those and get those going. I'm probably going to have to dedicate my weekend filming this week to just product reviews because I'm a little bit backlogged. So I have an Osight S that I need to review. I have another product from Osight that I need to review that I'm not supposed to talk about. I got that Sightmark there, and they've been an absolute pleasure to work with, and I got like a flashlight. So they're not like super difficult videos to make, but I do need to sit down and do them. And it's really easy to get focused more on this stuff, the cool stuff, than the product reviews. But the product reviews I do know are helpful to a lot of people. So I just need to find some time and kind of plow through those. All right, so let's talk about the two things that I want to focus on this video. The first one is going to be the tariffs and all the big trade war stuff that's going on right now and how it might affect the gun community, and a great point that was made by my friend Matt. And I also want to talk once again about scams. Now, no, I have not been scammed, but one of my friends has been doing a little bit of investigating into not necessarily like a foreign scam, but a company that might not be doing honest business. I guess he's already retained an attorney and all that. So, but we'll talk about that at the end. I first want to talk about all the tariff news because I was wondering how it's going to affect the gun community at all. Because, a lot of guns, like from Austria or, Glocks and Steyr, you have a lot of guns from Europe, Germany, all this kind of stuff. How is it going to affect gun prices and potentially ammo prices, which already have steep levies on them when it comes to importation? And what's it going to do to the gun pricing? And I sent a meme to some of my local friends and I guess subscribers and all that I speak to a lot. And it was kind of I know the meme is not funny when you talk about it, but it was a meme where like a Trigicon bro was in the past making fun of the Hollow Sun bros because they're like, your optic is cheap or whatever. But now after the tariffs, a Hollow Sun is now going to be more expensive than a Trigicon. So I know who's laughing now. It was more funny than anything else because, I think we can all agree that the Trigicon is probably a better optic than the Hollow Sun. Not that the Hollow Suns are junk or anything, because they're pretty good. But there's a big price point without the tariffs on that. Trigicons are always way up here and Hollow Suns are down here. But now it's, so who's laughing now, right? But I sent that to my friend Matt, and he made an excellent, excellent point. And I really was thinking I would talk about, as I said, the prices of guns. But I think I want to talk about the cultural shift in the gun community when it comes to things that either get prohibitively expensive or banned outright, and how our perception of them changes. And so he brought up the very good point of Chinese AKs. Back in the day, before it was the George H.W. Bush administration essentially banned them, all the old Norinco stuff. You had the SKSs, you had the AKs, and so forth. When those were being brought into the country, nobody wanted them because everybody thought they were Chinese-made junk. And I'm sure if you look at reviews or people that were writing about them in the age before the internet, when those were what you could get at a gun show or a gun shop or whatever, you'll probably see people talking about them in very negative ways. There's this Chinese cheap junk. But then as soon as they get banned, all of a sudden the prices go up. And in today's world, when it comes to the talk about quality everybody claims that the Chinese AKs are some of the best out there. I mean, if you can find a Norinco, you're going to have to pay a lot of money for it. Not because it's going to be older and banned, you can't get a new one, but also because the perception of them is that they're better quality. Now, is that the case? I don't know. I've never actually seen a torture test of a Norinco because they're so valuable. I mean, who would do a torture test on a valuable gun? But I think Matt makes a great point. And the same thing can be said for ammunition. I believe that we can all agree. Of course, there's always going to be people that are going to disagree with this statement. But I think for the most part, we would all agree that brass-cased ammunition is of higher quality than steel-cased. Not that steel-cased sucks or anything. There's a pro and a con to it. We can go over that. I think you guys know all the different pros and cons. For a long time, the steel-cased stuff from Russia was cheaper. You could buy it in bulk. Problems with steel-cased ammunition, especially if it's not 7.62 by 39, is that a lot of firearms are designed for the cases to expand a little bit when they're fired to seal up the chamber, and you don't get that with steel case because steel is much harder than brass. Typically, the older stuff was more corrosive. The powder might not be as clean. It's harder on extractors, but we would always go, okay, the steel case stuff is the cheap stuff, and then the brass case stuff is the nicer stuff. But then once we had all of these importation bans and embargoes from the manufacturers and the Eastern Bloc, the Russian stuff, now all of a sudden steel case ammo is all the rage because, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. And some people are like, I'm only going to buy steel case to run in my AKs because it's the best. It's like, hold up a second. Hold up. 10 years ago, steel case was the cheap stuff. It was dirty and corrosive, and now it's the new hotness. And now these experts are saying this stuff because it's harder to get or more expensive is better. So how is this going to affect the gun world now when it comes to especially optics? I'm kind of curious because, I just mentioned I'm going to be reviewing an O-sight. Well, those are made in China. We got the Holosuns. You have a lot of stuff that is made in China today, some of it better quality than others. But now if we have, levies of over 100% on them, it's going to drive the prices of these things up a lot, where just to get into one is going to be relatively comparable to some of the more expensive American-made optics. So as I said, if you double the price of a Holosun, you're probably going to be more than an American-made Trigicon. I can only imagine what the tariffs are going to do to Aimpoint because, what are they made in Sweden, I think. So, but anyway, you guys know what I'm saying. So I'm curious what the perception of the gun world is going to be. I find that there's a lot of people that don't actually care about the quality of a product. They just care about its price. If it goes up in price, it must be more valuable or better. Or because you can't get it, all of a sudden, people that for a long time were dogging, Holosuns are not going to be like, oh my God, they're the best thing ever. I can't believe we're never going to get a Holosun again. You got to get one now. I'm curious. What do you guys think? So if this trade war stuff, tariff stuff keeps going, how's it going to affect the gun community? Okay, are certain guns, in your opinion, tell me in the comments, are certain guns going to become more valuable just because they're harder to get? Or will you start to see people all of a sudden switching their thoughts on them, going, wow, they're some of the best guns ever made, just because they can't be imported anymore or the cost is so prohibitive? I'm curious, so tell me what you think. I thought Matt made an excellent point, both with guns and ammunition, that once it's banned or once it becomes cost prohibitive, all of a sudden the experts that you all follow on social media, the influencers all of a sudden say, these are the best ever. It makes me wonder if it's because they already have a bunch of them, and now that the price has gone up, they have to justify, oh, look, I have a Norinco. Is a Norinco AK really that good, or is it just good in our mind because we can't get it anymore? Curious your thoughts. All right, so now let's talk about scams. Now, I'm actually going to ask for your help on this. Now, as I said, I have not been scammed. I mean, we talked about me being scammed in the recent past with a company a website that turned out not to be legitimate. I was only out like $100 or so. It wasn't anything big. I learned my lesson and so forth, but it looked legit. Okay, but now I have a friend. In fact, he's lent stuff to the channel in the past. He is, let's just say, he buys a lot of stuff. Okay, he has an amazing collection. And it's my understanding that he purchased some things, I think it was ammunition, through a known retail. So this is not a scam website. Like, it is a brick and mortar store in Alabama. Okay, I'm going to tell you the name of it. It's called LG Outdoors, or it's what they used to operate on Gunbroker as. And it's my understanding that they've been banned from there because they started to get so many negative reviews. And they also have some other, what's it called? Sites that they operate under the same kind of umbrella, okay? And they have been around for a long time. I'm talking like 19 years, according to, their profiles. They seem legitimate. They have a brick and mortar store, but in the past year and a half or so, there's been a lot of complaints of people ordering things, saying they're going to ship it next day. They never ship, they never get their products, and they stop communicating. And I guess this list is getting kind of long. And my friend, who has retained the services of an attorney in Alabama, and I believe is headed that way in the next day or so, even though it's only like on a $500 order or something, he's willing to spend way more than that on principle alone just to fight this and do like investigations and so forth. And so he was asking me today, he called me and said, how do we find out? Because you can see all the negative reviews on Gunbroker, but those are just screen names and you can't contact people directly. So he was curious how many people have been scammed by this company. I guess in either trying to do discovery, maybe for a class action lawsuit to try to get to the bottom of things, to try to figure out what's going on. Are they a scam? It seems like, as I said, based off of the initial attorney's investigation, they are a real brick and mortar place that hold a real FFL, and there are other positive reviews going back 20 years. Okay, so it's not like, this is some scam from India or Pakistan where they, like I got caught up in, a website that looks completely legitimate and it's not. So they were, and so anyway, I'm just curious, have you ever, okay, and this would help my friend, and if you don't want to post it in the comments, you don't have to, just email me. Tell me, have you ever placed an order through LG Outdoors and never received your product? And I told him, I said, I'm a relatively small channel. Well, this channel is especially. My main channel is bigger, but this is the channel that I do more of this kind of discussion stuff on. So I have a little bit less than 10,000 subscribers here. But if I brought this up and a number of people said yes, that means the potential number of people that have been scammed or have purchased something that they never received means it's a lot more people than what we realize. And he's trying to figure out a way to get those numbers or contact those numbers. He said that when he contacted his credit card company, I guess he did get his money back, or is in the process of getting his money back. The investigator for the credit card company was saying something to the effect of, I can't give you any information specifically because, legal stuff, but let me tell you, this is not the only one that I have on record with this same company, that it's a long list. And GB will not give out information unless there's a court order to give the information specifically on the people that left negative comments. So they need to have a court order for that. But without having a class action lawsuit, right now, they can't get an order for that. So they're just trying to figure out a way through social media and awareness. Are these people scamming? How many people have been hurt by them that have not done anything? And my friend, his name's David, he said he's willing to do this and is going to spend the money on principle alone, okay? Because he says if he doesn't do something, a lot of people are going to be out a lot of money. And somebody has to step up and create this. So as I said, say something in the comment section. Tell me, have you been scammed? And if you don't want to say it there, maybe you feel a little bit embarrassed or whatever, you can message me directly, texasgunvault@gmail.com, and I can just get that information, and then maybe I can pass on your information to them, and that might help them in their discovery. Because I think as a gun community, we have to police ourselves. We really do. If we have FFLs that are stealing and scamming fellow gun owners, it has to be stopped, right? Not just because it's fraud, but because we have to have a better community than that. And so I really applaud David for going after this. And I'm telling you, he's a man of principle. It's not about the money to him, because whatever he spent on ammunition doesn't even come close to what the lawyer's retainer fee is, okay? But I don't think either amount of money matters to David. It's all on principle. And I am tired in today's world of people scamming others. It really ticks me off. You know, if people would spend as much time trying to create a legitimate business and do things the right way as they do trying to scam people, they'd be so rich. But anyway, let me know, and I would appreciate it. So this is kind of an all call out to the Texas Gun Vault 2 community. Let me know. Once again, the company was called LG Outdoors. Yeah, LG Outdoors is what it is. And I think they also had two other websites off the top of my head. I think one was Wholesale Hunter, and there was another one like Ammo Sale or something of that nature. And there's like hyphens or something in it. But all three of them seem to be tied to the same location in Alabama. And based off of the internet reviews, they are all in the past year and a half starting to get these negative reviews, but they're sprinkled in some positive reviews. So it's not like they've gone completely off the map. And when people have called them, you know, like the attorneys and things have called the customer service, people actually answer. So it's not like it goes to nowhere. They're able to look up the invoice information. It just seems like this company is either scamming people or they don't got something in order, and they're just hoping that they'll collect money from people and never have people come after them. I don't know. But we have to do better as a community. So there you go. So I'm asking for your help. So tell me in the comment section or email me, texasgunvault@gmail.com. And also tell me what you think about the tariffs and how they're going to affect the gun community. And do you think Matt made a great point? So that's all I got for you today. Thanks for joining me here in the garage. I can't wait to have the awesome dialogue in the comment section. And if you watch to the end, the word of the day is obviously going to be tariff. Tariff is the word of the day because not only is it driving our discussion here, it's driving the news cycle in general. So there we go. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. As always, thank you for joining me here in the garage. And as always, thanks for watching.